I don't know about you, but whenever I go into a new supermarket, I feel a little bit lost. And going into an Italian supermarket can be even more disconcerting. Everything's so different. The cuts of meat are different. The way you select and buy produce is different. The layout is different. And of course, everything's in Italian. Come along with us and we'll show you the ins and outs of Italian supermarkets. So whether you're staying in an Airbnb and you need to go grocery shopping, or you just want that cultural experience of shopping for groceries in a foreign country, we'll show you what to expect so you won't feel so lost.
The first difference you'll encounter is before you even enter the store. You need to pay for your cart. It's really give a deposit. But you go up to the rack of carts, put in a coin, usually a half a euro or a euro, and it will release the cart for you. And then when you bring it back at the end of your shopping trip, it'll give you the coin back. It's really an ingenious way to keep the carts from being spread all over the parking lot.
When you first enter the store, often what you'll see is general merchandise. You'll see automotive, household products, seasonal things like chairs and beach umbrellas and beach balls. It's almost sort of like a super Target or a Walmart when you first go into the grocery store. You can find most toiletries and personal care at a grocery store, and you'll even see some big international brands like Garnier and Nivea and Dove and Colgate. But you'll also see a lot of Italian brands as well. And you can get anything from toothpaste to deodorant to shampoo, etc. What you can't buy in a grocery store, typically, is over-the-counter medications like pain relievers or cough syrup and things like that. Those you have to go to a pharmacy for. Some big supermarkets have a pharmacy attached, but others don't.
You'd expect a big selection of pasta, and there certainly is. Generally, it runs down two sides of one aisle, and it comes from local manufacturers, national manufacturers, and artisanal brands, and in all sorts of shapes and sizes. There are hundreds of different shapes, and you'll find dozens in a store. But why are there so many? One reason is that all food in Italy is regional, and each region has developed its own shapes to go with the local sauces. And there's a whole culinary theory in Italy about what pasta shape goes best with each sauce. In general, the short forms with lots of texture, like farfalle, shaped like a butterfly, fusilli, shaped like a spiral, or orecchiette, shaped like little ears, are paired with chunkier sauces and pestos, while the long pastas, like spaghetti, linguine, and fettuccine, go with smoother sauces. And of course, then you have your stuffed pastas like ravioli or tortellini, where the pasta is the star and the sauce is usually light. Pasta is also available refrigerated, but in a smaller selection of shapes. But interestingly, there's not a big selection of pre-made pasta sauce because Italians like to make their own. What is a big selection is tomato sauces in a variety of consistencies, which they'll use as a base for their own sauce.
Let's talk about dairy, and we'll start with milk. You won't find as many options for refrigerated milk as you will in the States. Generally, you'll see only a few different types in 1 liter bottles, so roughly a quart of milk. Most of it's whole milk. You can get 2% or something that approximates 2% milk. And that's pretty much it. You won't find gallons. One of the reasons is, number one, Italians don't drink a lot of milk. They use it mainly for their coffee or their cereal. And second of all, the way they process milk is a little bit different than in the States, and milk doesn't keep for very long. It only keeps for 2 or 3 days, and so a gallon would go bad before they would use it. An interesting thing about milk in Italy is there is a much larger section of shelf-stable milk. In fact, shelf-stable milk accounts for about 50% of all the milk consumption in Italy. And it will keep up to 6 months before it's opened, so that's one reason why it's popular. And if you're looking for things like soy milk, almond milk, oat milk, etc., usually you'll find that in the shelf-stable milk section. A couple other miscellaneous things about dairy. First of all, you'll often find a very large yogurt section. They love yogurt for breakfast here in Italy, and you'll find all different kinds. Even my favorite brand, Faglie from the United States, is available here. It's cheaper here, which is nice. Another thing to know is that butter doesn't come in packages with 4 sticks. It comes in a package of 1 solid brick that's about 7 ounces. Another thing is you won't find eggs in the dairy section. Eggs are actually just on the shelf with a lot of the dry grocery products. And you typically won't find packages of a dozen eggs. You'll typically find them in packages of 6 or sometimes as many as 10 eggs. One of the reasons for that is that Italians do not eat eggs for breakfast. That's just not a thing. Typically, eggs are used mainly for cooking and baking, but they don't eat them for breakfast as a general rule. When it comes to bakery items, traditionally in Italy, just like in France, people would go and buy a fresh loaf of bread every single day. You can still do that, and when you go to the bakery section of the grocery store, there will be all sorts of different fresh breads. But what there'll also be are prepackaged sliced loaves of sliced bread for making sandwiches or making toast in the morning. Something you'll notice about the produce aisle is it's not quite as extensive as in the United States because Italians tend to eat things that are locally grown and seasonally grown. So that's what you'll see the most of. Now you will find some items that come from southern Italy or North Africa or Spain, but it's not anything like what you would find in the United States. An important thing that you need to know in Italy is don't touch the produce with your bare hands. They really frown on that. They have these little plastic glove things. You put one of those on your hand, you get your bag, you put the items in that you're choosing, then you take the bag of whatever it is, grapes, over to the scale, you put them on the scale, and you punch in a code that you saw where you got the grapes. It'll print out a sticker, and you put it on the bag, and you take it up to the cash register when you go to pay for all of your items.
Meat is one of the more difficult departments to shop because they cut the animals up in totally different ways and you're not sure what to ask for or what a particular cut is. Here are 2 charts that show how the parts of beef are thought of in different ways. So many popular U.S. cuts of beef, like strip steak or brisket, just aren't available. And one Italian name, like controfiletto, can refer to multiple U.S. cuts. Fortunately, some cuts are recognizable, like filetto is tenderloin or filet, and the big bistecca alla Fiorentina, which is clearly a porterhouse. But you'll also find regional names, so knowing your cuts is really tricky. You can buy your meat prepackaged, but they slice their meats very thin here. So if you want a good-sized steak or a chop, you need to go to the butcher counter and ask them for 2 belle dite, or a 2-finger-thick piece of meat. Something you're likely to be stunned by is the size of the deli section. There's an unbelievable range of different salamis and prosciutto and cured meats. Each section of Italy has its own, and generally in all the regions you can buy them from the different regions around the country. Cheese is very similar. There's also a very wide selection of different cheeses from all over Italy. In our region here in central Italy, there's a lot of sheep cheese, pecorino, so you'll find that in all sorts of different varieties. Another thing about both meats and cheese is they're much less expensive here. Prosciutto would be about half the price per pound, as is Parmesan. You can get a very large chunk of Parmesan here for $11, and in the US it would probably cost you closer to $25. In the US, almost all the fish you'd buy in a supermarket comes already filleted, and some of it's been frozen before. Here it's always fresh and generally comes as a whole fish. But in the store, they will clean it for you and scale it.
Bottled water is really big in Italy. And typically it comes in 2 sizes. You can either get a gigantic bottle or smaller, sort of individual sized bottles. They often come shrink wrapped together in packages of 6, although you really don't have to buy them that way. You can break them apart and buy individual bottles. And in fact, the price marked on the shelf is for an individual bottle of water. And you can get either natural or still water, or you can get carbonated or fizzy water. Soft drinks are popular in Italy also, but not nearly as popular as they are in the United States, and there isn't nearly the variety available as in the United States. You can buy Coca-Cola, and you can buy Pepsi. You can usually buy Fanta. And other than that, a lot of the brands are either Italian or European brands.
You may think Italians drink a lot of wine, and certainly they do, but they also drink quite a bit of beer, and particularly when they're having pizza, because in many places having wine with pizza is considered a little bit odd. Back to wine. As expected, there's a large selection of wine, and it's a lot less expensive than it is in the US, particularly if it's a wine from the local region. You can get an excellent bottle of local wine for €7 or €8. That translates into $8 or $9. You can also buy liquor in the grocery store. There's not a big section, but a decent selection. Virtually all whiskeys, gins, vodkas, and tequilas are imported, but they're still much cheaper than they are in the US because they aren't heavily taxed. There's a good selection of aperitivi for before dinner and digestivi for after, nearly all produced in Italy. These include Campari and Aperol, plus limoncello and various Amaros.
Like everywhere in the world, things are becoming much more Americanized here. So you are able to find breakfast cereal in Italy. It's the kids mainly who eat that. And you'll find some familiar brands like Cheerios and Corn Flakes, and then some really highly sweetened, highly flavored options like Kit Kat cereal and other things that sound pretty gross to me. Otherwise, adults typically don't eat much for breakfast. They'll have a cup of coffee and usually like a cornetto or a little croissant or some sort of pastry. And that's about it, other than yogurt.
Speaking of coffee, in many ways it's Italy's national drink. Many Italians will get their morning coffee at an espresso bar after they leave home, but coffee at home is common. They'll use a traditional mocha coffee maker or a modern machine with pods to make their cup.
One thing you'll notice in Italy is that there's a big snack aisle. And by that, I do not mean the salty snack aisle. What I'm talking about, we'll get to that in a minute. What I am talking about here is snacks for children in the afternoon. That's a thing, merenda. When kids get home from school, their parents will give them usually a sweet treat. Often some kind of pastry filled with some kind of cream, sometimes cookies, but anyway, there's usually a big aisle of that sort of stuff. Now back to salty snacks. Okay, we don't have Frito-Lay over here in Italy, so you won't find this enormous aisle of every kind of chip and other salty snack as you can imagine. They do love their potato chips here, and they have many odd flavors in addition to the normal ones. For example, you can get truffle-flavored potato chips, rosemary-flavored potato chips, and lots of other things. There are a few options for tortilla chips and something that looks kind of like Cheetos and something that looks a little bit like Fritos, but those aren't really a big thing. Potato chips are the main thing that people like here.
Checking out is both similar and different from the US. You go up to the belt and put your groceries on there, but a tip is to make sure that you weighed your produce before you've gotten there because they have no way to do it at the register. Once the cashier has scanned your groceries, you're going to need to hurry to the other end because there's no one to bag your groceries. You need to have either brought your own bag or they'll sell you one for 5 or 10 or 20 cents. But you got to hurry and get your groceries loaded because the person behind you is going to get impatient because they want to get through and out of the store as well. So now you're done. You take your cart with groceries in it, you unload them into your car, you take your cart back and get your money back, and the trip's over.
I get to keep it. I get to keep it.